Welcome, NBA Tip-Off Monday edition, Monday, August 31st, the last day of August, rather. It's not the last Monday, hopefully. Or who knows in 2020, right, guys? No, it's the last day of August, and we are close to September 1st. Tomorrow we'll be back each and every day this week, as always, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, live here on WagerTalk TV for NBA Tip-Off. Let me bring in Rob Vino first. Rob, what were your thoughts on the weekend? What do you think about the NBA restart? I personally, guys, stayed away from Saturday. I had the over last night, cashed the over last night on Sunday in that Nugget game. But I took it cautious on day one. But to be honest, guys, I actually had passed on Wednesday with those same matchups. So, yeah. I didn't really like it on Wednesday, and I liked it even less on Saturday with the uncertainty. But, Rob, what were your thoughts on the restart Saturday?
Well, my first thought was from somebody who had OKC and Houston over on Saturday. Let's make sure that Luguentz Dort doesn't put up more shots than anybody else on the team tonight if you're OKC. 16 shot attempts, 3 of 16 from the field. Houston did it on purpose. Encouraged to shoot the basketball 0 for 9 from 3. I mean, it was brutal. Yeah. It was absolutely brutal. And I think we talked last week, guys, about, Dort, hey, his defense is great, but it's no different than when they had Andre Roberson on the floor and you didn't have to guard him. And you just can't play playoff basketball offense when the other team uses 5 to defend 4 and lets one just do whatever the heck he wants.
Not unless you have 4 other Oscar Robertsons. You're right.
Right. So for OKC, Billy Donovan was complimentary in his post game of the young kid. You don't want to, break his confidence, but you have to make some changes. There's just no way that guy's going to shoot you into the next round. So I'd expect OKC, who's digging for offense, to probably make a few changes there. And last night, Steve, I was with you. I had responded to a tweet from Ski last night that what I remember from Friday is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Let's just keep playing Denver, Utah over the total. I mean, the whole group of us have cashed on that particular wager throughout this playoff series. Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell. It's a shootout. It's probably, let's hope that it's a great game 7 because so far everything we've seen in that series has been awesome. And of course, you know what? I brought it up last week, that August 7th matchup in the bubble between Boston and Toronto. Tony had said that that the head coach of Boston, Brad Stevens, said he didn't learn anything. Well, I learned something, and it kept me off of playing Toronto -2 yesterday because I was just afraid of the way Boston played in that game. More athletic, quicker. Toronto couldn't seem to keep up, and the same game replayed itself yesterday, guys. Toronto's offense was miserable. Boston's was terrific, and maybe we're seeing, the beauty of a 7-game series is you get to strategize and make adjustments, but boy, oh boy, Toronto doesn't fit the mold of what Boston's doing right now to them offensively and defensively.
Yeah, Tony, the more I looked at that series, I stayed off Toronto. I was actually very close to using Boston yesterday. I was actually kicking myself for not doing. I've been big on Toronto, but I'm big on Boston also, and I still think the winner of that series will win the Eastern Conference over the Bucks. But, Tony, what were your big takeaways from the weekend?
Well, what are you two trying to say? What are you trying to say? Listen, I was on Toronto.
Oh, we did not know that. At least I did. Rob probably knew.
I was on Toronto. Not only am I on Toronto, the assessment that Rob just gave us is from Rob's eye and probably from 25 people I spoke with are fairly identical. Being the unbiased observer that I was for that game, I saw it a little bit differently, and I saw it. Let's just say this: if Boston shoots the way they shot, if the ball bounces the way it bounces, and again, I'm a tad bit biased, but I pride myself on saying, listen, when you're wrong, you're wrong, and the best thing to do is admit you're wrong and get the hell out of the room, unless you're ready to stand, toe to toe and fight another game. And typically in a 7-game series after game 1, I rarely surrender, and I'm not going to surrender on this yet because there's a lot of things I said to ignore the 4 games that these two played. There was too many, whether it was a couple of Toronto players that were missing. Maybe Hayward just came back. There were a lot of things that happened in that 4-game series, and I firmly believe that that what we discussed, Rob and I both kind of shook our heads in agreement on Friday, that it was a kind of a playground atmosphere game that those two played, that there was really not a lot to gain, and that neither wanted to show something. And I thought Brad Stevens, I don't think Brad Stevens is not the kind of guy. He's not the kind of coach, at least from my experience, that's going to say I didn't learn anything if he did. Yeah, he wouldn't just say anything. Pretty straightforward, pretty transparent coach, and a good coach. Don't get me wrong. I still believe Nurse will make the right adjustments. I still think that Toronto's longer. I think they're just as fast, just as quick, bigger, and can shoot the ball better. So I can't imagine that Toronto or that Boston's going to jump out to a 10 or 15, 20-point lead, whatever the case was in the first half there, guys. And at that point on, the game was pretty much even. I mean, Toronto made a couple small runs. Really, I never felt like they threatened Boston. I don't think you guys did either. They never threatened that game. There was a couple times when Brad made great timeout calls. I thought he made perfect timeout calls, and they worked. I've already forgot about that game. Other than my wallet didn't forget about that game, but I forgot about the damn game, and I'm ready for game 2 in that series, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, they got outscored by 16 in the first quarter. They lost by 18. So the good news for Raptors fans is that they only got outscored by 1 in the second half. But, what's interesting to me, guys, we'll talk about this game obviously more tomorrow on Tuesday's show because they play again tomorrow. But line closed -2 Toronto yesterday, which is pretty much what it was the whole weekend. Yet the look-ahead line now for game 2 on tomorrow night is 1.5. So even though you got maybe what you could say is a Class A team off a blowout loss as the higher seed, which should be a natural bounce-back spot, the odds makers, or at least the betting market, has made them a smaller favorite. So very interesting, something we'll definitely dig in tomorrow. But I want to get to my man Ski. Ski, how was your weekend? What were your takeaways? And speaking of playground basketball, I thought of Rob Vino's new take, the YMCA game and that Laker-Portland game on the other night.
Ridiculous.
I mean, wow, we had, 136 points at halftime. So, Ski, what were your thoughts on your Lakers and just your overall takeaway on the weekend?
Basketball.
When Lakers are on that game, when Lakers are locked in and when they actually care, you'll see it. They'll play defense. When they don't, they're just going to run up and down that court and see what you saw in that last game, score some points. As far as the Boston and Toronto thing, I agree. Toronto really never had a chance, but the one thing, I mean, I just feel like Boston was making a lot of shots and Toronto was missing a lot of shots. I think we don't see that same result again the next time around. So I think Nick Nurse is great at making adjustments. I think he's shown that already. So I think we see adjustments for game 2.
Yeah, I mean, and normally you would expect that from a team that's a title contender. And not only that, guys, the defending world champs. I mean, it's not like this is the Raptors' first rodeo. They're -1 star player, but pretty much the same cast that won the NBA championship. So I found it interesting that they're a smaller favorite for game 2. But, we'll definitely dig into that one more tomorrow. So as of now, we've got one game 7, and that's going to be tomorrow night. That'll be game 7 between the Jazz and Nuggets. None of the other 7 series in the first round went 7 games, guys. And that's not completely unusual because we normally get mismatches. In fact, coming in, we'd mentioned that, the only team that was less than basically a 1-3 favorite was the Rockets. Mm-hmm. And I guess we could have a game 7 in that series if the Thunder pull the upset tonight. So I shouldn't – maybe I spoke a little too soon. I don't necessarily have a side in that game, viewers, so it's not like I've got a strong best bet on the Rockets is why I'm saying that. But I know Rob Vino's got a vested interest because he had the Rockets plus money in 6 after game 4. And I actually have not had a side in either game, Rob, so I'm pulling for you on that one. But let's get to the early game first, guys. Just a reminder to all the viewers out there, WagerTalk.com. Rob, Tony, Ski, and myself, Steve Merrill, at WagerTalk.com. Our best bets for tonight. We'll have some more information on that here in between games, but I know a lot of the viewers out there have been anxiously awaiting some handicap and insight for these games tonight. First game tips off at 6:30 Eastern Monday night. We've got the hell yes, hell no, who knows what to make of the Milwaukee Bucks. Minus the 5.5 right now is the number 1 seed against the Heat, who are actually the 5 seed, and they swept the 4 seed Pacers. So Miami's obviously a dangerous underdog here in game 1. Rob Vino, how are you attacking this one? Pretty short price for the number 1 team in the league, laying just 5.5 in game 1.
Yeah, you know what? And I thought it should be even shorter, Steve. So I think that perhaps Miami probably is getting a little bit of value in the line here. Again, we'll go back to regular season where I think Miami swept this team. One of 3 teams that were able to do so this year. The other 2 came from the West. But the last time we saw these two, we saw Miami very shorthanded in the bubble race out to a huge halftime lead, had like 70-something points. And then, that's the game where Milwaukee put on that 20-0 run to end the game. I think Teddy was with us on the panel. He had Milwaukee that day and covered 9.5. Now they're down to 5.5. I thought it was interesting that Giannis said that the Milwaukee Bucks are not entirely focused on basketball right now, even after they won the game against Orlando. That's totally different than everything I've read from the Miami camp led by Jimmy Butler, who are rested. Now, again, Steve, it's always 20/20 hindsight, right? Is the rest good or does the rest create rust? And, you have to make that judgment for yourself. But I like everything Miami's done so far. And Boston and Toronto aside as being 2 teams that could potentially take Milwaukee out of the NBA Finals, I think Miami's got as good a shot as either one of those 2 teams do. They match up really well. I think the fact that they have Kendrick Nunn back now helps them quite a bit. Their 3-point shooting from guys like Duncan Robinson and Nunn and company has really propelled this team. In their previous series, Miami allowed Indiana to shoot better than 37% from 3. Milwaukee allowed Orlando to shoot better than 37% from 3. So I think 3-point defense is going to be key here. As I mentioned, both of them can shoot it, but the Eric Bledsoe injury could mean something here, guys. He's listed as questionable with a hip, which comes after him being questionable with a knee injury. So knee and hip injuries to contend with here. He hasn't always stepped up in playoff games. I just think Miami matches up real well. Brook Lopez on Bam Adebayo? I don't think so. Brook Lopez, who likes to float around and shoot threes, will have an active hand in his face where Adebayo is concerned. And as I go up and down the lineups here, I just think Miami does match up real well and maybe better defensively, guys, because in my estimation, they're the tougher team. They're the more physical team. We saw that at times against Indiana. And Milwaukee has shown they can be pushed around a little bit. So we'll see. This is game 1. I think Miami's the right side. I looked at the total a little bit, too, at 223. It's been pushed up to 224.5 now. And potential for this game to get up and over the number as well, in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely some 224.5. See a lot of 224s still. So it does appear to be rising. So if you like the over, I'd grab that 224s. There are 224.5s out there now. A few spots have -5, but mostly 5.5. So there again, if you like the Bucks, you can find a -5. If you like the Heat, there's a 5.5. Tony, something I forgot to mention when we did the recap of the weekend, not really that important, but the first 2 games on Saturday, pretty easy unders after the 3-day layoff. And then, of course, the Laker game of one of the easiest overs we've seen. Then Sunday, the 2 early games under. And then, of course, we see another over in the nighttime game. I don't read too much into that, but the under was 4-2 after the layoff. The favorite, the straight-up winner, 5-1 against the spread in the 6 games. The Lakers were the only team that won but did not cover. That's been a trend that's been working. Probably pick the winner in this game. You most likely get the ATS winner as well. I think the Heat could definitely pull the upset if they cover. The
Saturday was actually, you said you kind of stepped away from that card because it was the identical card Wednesday. It was my biggest card of the season.
You had 2 plays that Wednesday, though.
3 games.
And you had 2 Wednesday, though, correct? So
I went 1-1-1 because I went ahead and I put the -114 as opposed to a lot of times, just so the audience knows, I try hard. Sometimes it depends on the game and the situation, but in a game, 13.5, 14, if I believe a team's going to cover 13.5, then damn it, I'm putting -14 up there. If I push, I push. I'm going to guess that most of my clients got a win there.
Yeah, Tony, that's a good point because I meant to bring that up. That game was 14.5 on Wednesday.
It's so funny. It
went 13.5 Saturday, and they won by 14 exactly.
And they closed it. It closed at 14.5 at a couple shops and 13.5 at a couple shops.
Yeah,
so
it landed right in the middle.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that a lot of people got 13.5.
I would think that would be a win for most people.
I
and it
got
should have been.
13.5 myself.
Correct.
I just posted 14. It's one of those deals where it gets a push as opposed to a win. Who cares? I really don't care about that. As long as you guys won, that's all that matters to me. Especially Ski and his Lakers they're spot on defensively right now. By the way, speaking of this game, this game tonight, this Heat Bucks game, guys. Tell me I'm crazy. Correct me if I'm wrong. Throw some kisses my way if I'm right. But I believe this game really is going to be all about kind of a little bit what Rob said. It's all about adjustments here. I believe that Bam is far too important to be chasing Fox around out in the perimeter. And I believe that one of the reasons that Rob said you saw pretty good 3-point shooting was that at least the Heat are going to be in the paint, and they're going to make the Greek freak shoot from the outside. I believe that Bam's going to be on the Greek for the most part. And the key in this game, while many people have told me, guys, said this series is all about Miami getting balanced production, and it's all about the Greek, what he does and what he doesn't do for Milwaukee. I disagree to agree that I believe it's all about Middleton. And when we saw Milwaukee good in this last series, Middleton contributed. When we saw Milwaukee bad, he was asleep at the wheel. He ran up and down the court, but he did not look comfortable. He didn't look confident. He didn't hit he didn't hit a number of wide open jumpers that he would normally shoot and be running down the other end of the court, knowing it was going in before it even left his hands hardly. So that said, toughness, I think, the toughness goes to Miami here. There's no question about Butler he keeps his team focused, and he brings so many things to the court. We've mentioned that. I've mentioned that here. So many more things than his scoring or his ability to be versatile and defend big, small, whatever they ask of him to do. I don't think he has to score. But I do believe that if Miami sinks and they sag and they make Milwaukee shoot from the outside, I still think he gets contest to some degree because it's a pretty good 3-point shooting team. But that's really the way they beat this team. That's the way they beat this team. And in my opinion, I think it's a good series. I think if you're going to play game one here, I think you take the points. In my opinion, I'm not on it.
Ski, we got the Bucks about a 5.5-point favorite here in game one. There are some fives out there, a 224, 224.5. I just popped the series price up, and this varies, of course. I saw them as low as -400 in another book, but for the most part, they're a 1-4 favorite. Heat are a little bit more than 3-1 take back dog. I'll get your thoughts on any of that. Ski, I'll go back to you and Rob and Tony as well in the series here in a moment. Ski, what's your big picture takeaway though in the Bucks? I mean, they didn't have to be too focused to finish off the Magic. How focused do you think they'll be tonight?
They better be focused because they're not facing the Orlando Magic team anymore. So there's not that much room, margin for error. And just a couple of things that these guys touched on. I don't trust Chris Middleton at all.
Wow.
I don't trust Eric Bledsoe at all. And Toronto, like we said, we've talked about plenty of times, they laid out the blueprint for how to beat Milwaukee. You build that wall and you make other people shoot and beat you. And for that reason, I think Milwaukee takes a lot of threes. And Milwaukee also allows the most 3-point attempts in the NBA. And Miami's the second best 3-point shooting team. So I think they also get a lot of 3-point attempts. For that reason there, I think that we have a good chance for it to hit the total. So I agree with Rob in that aspect. As far as the side, I haven't been high on Milwaukee. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I don't think that they're going to represent the Eastern Conference. I think Miami can clip them, honestly, in this series. Looking at Miami, they've covered 8 out of the last 12 times versus Milwaukee. And when Miami is rested and facing some of these better teams, 55% win teams or greater, they're 19-11 against the spread, 20-10 straight up. So I think you sprinkle a little bit on the money line here. I think Miami can maybe get a victory tonight.
Nice. I was trying to think what other odds I could put up, Ski, and I didn't think the money line, so thank you. That's a fourth banner I can put up for this one. I'll pull that up as we're doing this. Yeah, I was going to say, what are you guys seeing live for the money line here? We got the money line pretty much on this game as a 5.5 point favorite, minus 230, take back about plus 190. So we'll say minus 230. So you're getting almost a 2-to-1 take back on the Heat on the money line. First half money line is also very similar. First half, by the way, Milwaukee is minus 3 versus 5.5 for the game. They're about minus 180, so it's about plus 160 first half. So you're getting a shorter price, of course, on that. Rob, Tony, I'll go back around to you guys too, and then I'll finish the Ski again, so you guys can all think about it. But once again, we talked about the game here. First half, once again, 3-114. Series price minus 420, 3-1 on the Heat. Rob, any interest in any of those wagers?
Well, from my perspective, I think that anything involving Heat or over, I think, again, Steve, I think the one caution that you have, if you're looking at the Miami Heat, and if you can overcome it, then you go and play the Miami Heat. If you can't, you don't. But I think the one caution would be how to judge the amount of rest that they've had after completing the sweep. But let me say that this is why the Miami Heat brought in Jay Crowder. This is why the Miami Heat brought in Jimmy Butler. This is why the Miami Heat brought in Andre Iguodala. All these guys are physical. They all play defense. And name me 3 on Milwaukee that have those attributes. I can't find them. They're not there. I talked about Bam Adebayo and his athletic ability, and I know Tony's been touting him through the entire playoffs here. But when they go to the bench, Kelly Olynyk is as athletic, more athletic than any Milwaukee big. It's nice when Brook Lopez can float out there all by himself and shoot some threes uncontested or shoot them over little guys, but it's just not going to be the case here with this team. There's a feistiness to Miami that I like, and they're so diverse, I'll call them, in the fact that they can play you half court, they can play you open court. It really doesn't matter. They can come down and launch threes with Milwaukee and win the game. I mean, they won a game against them this year, 131-126. So I think Miami's probably the right way to go here. And then we'll see how Milwaukee counters if Miami were to win this game. If Milwaukee wins this game, then, as Tony said, going to be a series of adjustments. I just think Miami, on paper, has the parts heading in to make a legitimate argument for backing them.
Tony, any props, any play-on-play against players? You guys have all kind of mentioned some guys that we all kind of think are overrated with Milwaukee, and I think that's one of the reasons none of us are huge on the Bucks to win the title, even win the conference. But how about your Butler props, Tony? Any interest there?
Before I say anything about the props, one thing I didn't mention, and that was, and see if these guys agree. I'm a firm believer. One of the reasons I didn't release this game. I'm still considering playing it myself. Who knows? Maybe I'll release it, and anyone watching this will know already that if I release this game, I'm on Miami. So anybody out there, you don't have to buy it. You just know I'm on. If you see, I have a play on this, I'm on Miami because I believe that Rob mentioned it, and he mentioned Crowder. I believe Miami. If I'm Miami, and who am I to tell these coaches what to do? But I think they're going to go small. I think Miami will go small. And I think it'll be, while most people will see it as a mismatch inside, Crowder on Lopez in the post. Let's just be honest. Brook Lopez is not the post play. Listen, if you want to put somebody up against Brook Lopez, I'll take Crowder and his physicality and that matchup all day long. And if they do that, then I'm all over Miami. In fact, I may be in game Miami if I see that happening, if they win small. Really, I find, other than Toronto, Boston, I find this to be the most interesting matchup, at least game 1-2, because if Miami takes a lead in this series, these are two really good coaches, guys. They really are, and it's going to be a chess match. But if they take a 1-0 lead over Milwaukee, then props or maybe all I do moving forward, because you're going to see a kind of a desperate Milwaukee team, and when Milwaukee plays desperate, Giannis just tries too many things to take too much on his back and his shoulder. This team has a really good defensive rating. Milwaukee does. Much of it, I think, is because they play in the East, and much of it is because if you look at the box scores throughout the season, they had these leads that forced other teams to do things that they typically don't do, and to play catch up. And you saw a good poor shooting performance, percentage, yada, 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 if that makes sense. And as far as game one props,
here's one for you, Tony. Jimmy Butler has a double-double.
Again,
310 on the yes, minus 430 on the no.
I think that's listen, from any double-double? Is it any double-double? Because
I'm just seeing it says has a double-double at one offshore book I'm looking at.
Jimmy Butler's, I know it sounds
I think
strange.
it's for game one only, so it'd be a double. Yeah, any double-double, I would assume. I think a double-double is any double-digit stats. So.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't want him to say that it has to be points and something else, because Jimmy Butler, again, I believe he can do whatever he wants. He's the kind of guy that can, if you could give him 10 fouls, he could have a double-double. But I like Butler. And I like Butler in so many more ways that you don't than surface numbers or what you read in the box score. Listen, Rob, he hit it on the head. What Miami has done this year should be a surprise to everyone. What they did, what they were able to execute, how they were able to perform, and their standings. No one really expected this from Miami. Did you guys? What they did was fantastic, and they deserve everything they've gotten. And Milwaukee may get more of them than they want.
Ski, any final thoughts on the money line or first half, or any player props here on game one between the Heat and Bucks?
Yeah, I would look at Miami first half as well. Player props, I don't really love them in this game. I'll probably look more towards series. I last saw the series at 5.5 games. I think that it can get over 5.5 games. I think Miami or Milwaukee can very easily win 2 and the other one win the series. And the only other way I would look at it, and I'll tell you why I'm doing it. I've said I don't think the Bucks win the Eastern Conference. I think that they can lose this round. I think that if they don't lose this round, they lose the next round. I see the series price for Miami at plus 360, and I think even if Milwaukee advances, Boston or Toronto will be underdogs as well. So I think you could take both. If Miami loses, I think that Milwaukee loses next round.
I like it. Yeah, what Ski's recommending, guys, is actually excellent advice. I think, when we started the playoffs, what was it, 4-1 on the Raptors, 4-1 on the Celtics, and that included all the other teams that have since been eliminated, so you had even more risk. Now, I think one viewer said they have them at 3-1, but Ski, you're exactly right. I mean, you're getting the Heat at 3.5 to 1, and then you money line parlay that into what the series price will be at the Celtics or Raptors. It'll be plus something, plus $1 something. You're going to get over 4-1, definitely, by doing that. And you could actually take your bank and walk away after this series if somebody gets COVID on the Celtics or somebody gets injured, So, yeah, viewers, excellent advice. Don't play the Raptors or Celtics to win the East. Play the Heat and plan on money line parlaying that, or at least take some of it off the table and do as you wish. But, yeah, even if you don't necessarily think the Heat are going to knock the Bucks off, if you don't think the Bucks are making the finals, that's the way to do it. Much better value, much better payback, and actually less risk as well. Ski, which players in general would you be looking to play against on this series just going forward for those that are looking at props? I
don't think Giannis has a great start. I think that they may have to adjust. I think Bolden, I always screw his name up. I can't say it, but
they've got a bunch in this series that are tough. They really do.
The coach for the Bucks, I can never say his name correctly. It's like a tongue twister for me, but I think he makes adjustments game by game, not necessarily during the game. So I think Giannis struggles in his first game. I probably would look towards his point total under. And if I had to play players for Miami, like I said, Milwaukee allows the most three-point attempts, and Miami's a second-best three-point shooting team. So I'll look for some of these guys' three-point totals, maybe like Duncan Robinson or Goran Dragic, to go over their three-point makes.
And by the way, Giannis, I'm seeing a 31.5 to the under at one of the sharp books, 14.5 rebounds, 5.5 over heavy to the assists. So the total for all three there, 51.5 points, rebounds, assists for the Greek Freak. Of course, viewers out there, these odds are going to vary slightly at different books, especially sharp versus square books, especially in big games like this where they get more action. Also, they're going to move as we get closer to game time. We're doing this live 3 p.m. Eastern as we do every weekday. The other thing I'll mention, too, from a money management perspective, I say this with the Super Bowl every year with all the props. Be careful. These are correlated. If you think it's a high-scoring game, like we like the Carmelo over props, and boy, did that win easy on Saturday. I can't pat myself on the back too much, though, because there was also a tremendous amount of points. You could blindly probably played almost anybody over in that game on the props. And with that said, if you'd had the under props, under total, you had a lot of exposure to the same outcome. So if you play a guy for a full unit on a prop, if you had the full game over for a prop, you've got a little bit of double exposure there. So just be cautious money management wise, as we always talk about when playing correlated events. Hey, speaking of wagers, speaking of best bets, Rob, what do you got going on tonight for Monday? It's $9 Monday. I forgot to mention that. How could I forget $9 Monday? It's the last day of the month. What a great way to finish the month and build your bankroll as you head into September. But, Rob, what do you got going for $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, I stuck to the NBA, Steve. It's what's been kind to me. So, again, I'll piggyback off of Ski's. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I stuck in the NBA tonight. I'm involved in both games. And they're both up and available right now. They've been up all day at WagerTalk.com. So we'll stick with the NBA. I passed on Major League Baseball here. And actually, it may come a time within the next 90 minutes, 2 hours, where I put up my first college football play for this week as well, to give people a chance at $9 for a few hours before it reverts back to regular price. So we're looking at a college football play as well.
Yeah, and by the way, fan of the show, Matt Joseph's Mid-Major Matt, I saw he had an NFL futures he really likes, and that's $9. And I saw him promote that today. I was like, that's a great idea. You know, this is a great time for somebody that wants an NFL play in a week or so. Save some money and get it right now. Get college football, get NFL, get, of course, tonight's baseball and basketball. I've got a 5% play, by the way. That's normally $40. It's $9. You can get all four of our $9 plays for less than that game would normally cost you right now. Tony, what do you have going on tonight on Monday?
I have one NBA game. So I think everyone, I've already said I'm not officially on the first game, so that leaves it to be a second game. I have three Major League Baseball games. And I actually I really like this card tonight. I went ahead and released all three. I packaged them all together. You can get all three games for $9 for $3 a piece. And my baseball's been reliable. It's been pretty consistent. I mean, I think I'm 63% on the season, which is, and I spend an awful lot of time on baseball. So, and really enjoy it. I enjoy the hell out of baseball simply because it has no time clock, and, you know, you can really drink a lot of beer with no time clock. But here, the deal is this, and that is, it's a great card. It's a great day at Wager Talk, and lots of great ideas there. I have some futures out. I have week 1 NFL out already, at least for the most part, my card, because I don't release large cards, but I should just go ahead and knock them down to $9, right? Should package a whole damn screen.
I was going to say, Tony, so you got a 3-pack is $9 total. My goodness.
Yes, yeah.
Giving it away.
I was going to throw the NBA game in there and just make it a 4-pack for $9 because
see, look, he's wearing red today. If you don't believe in Santa, kids, Tony Finn is Santa Claus right now. He's just giving it away here. He thinks this is November 31st.
I look like Santa.
Of course, there is no November 31st viewers. I'm well aware of that. That was the joke there.
Yeah, it's I only have 2 faults. The only 2 faults I have, according to my wife, are I don't listen, and what was some other crap she was talking about. I didn't hear it, but
too generous on $9 Monday might be the
tough crowd. Okay, what are we talking about? Because I'll start getting off on something fast.
Ski was just saying how incredibly generous you are on $9 Monday.
Oh, that's true. I'm generous with my point spread. Did I win anything on Friday, by the way? Did I win my bets on Friday, Ski?
I think I did. What did we have going out? Something in the Denver series? I don't remember what.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought I was getting.
Oh, yeah, I think you lost, Tony, if it was Denver.
Yeah.
Well, really?
Yes, you had Denver, because you and I had been on Denver a few times in that series.
Have they won 2 in a row, Denver?
And I, of course, stayed away from it. I used the over instead. But, yeah, Ski had Denver, I think.
Well, every day is Friday. See what I mean? You guys say it's Monday. It's Friday. Every day is Friday.
In fact, it was. You gave it +3. You gave him a generous number as the gentleman you always are. The guy that was on a 28-8 run coming into the weekend, and he takes a push on a game when 90% of people should have won at -13.5. He's still at a 28-8 record. That's how generous this guy is. He's generous on the record.
Well, I'm also I'm no longer 28-8, but thank you.
I'm going to give you a win on that Bucks game.
I'm 32-12. That means I was kissing my sister.
Well, you got it as a push, so I'm saying 33-12. Your clients are 33-12. Ski, what do you got going for Monday at $9WagerTalk.com?
Well, I have a free play up in the NBA. I was close to making another bet, but I didn't quite get there yet. I have a best bet in the WNBA tonight. It's backed by a league-wide stat, 26-4. So
wow,
you can get that. That's my best bet up tonight.
That's WNBA, correct?
Yep, a
Nice.
total for WNBA.
Yeah, Ski's been crushing it as he has all season long in WNBA, and some great information. He's the one guy here that specializes it on the panel. Guys, let's get to this late game. By the way, I do have a 5% NBA best bet, $9 tonight, 23 and 13 over all the last 3 weeks for me, baseball and basketball. And I've also got a baseball best bet for $9. So normally that 5% play would be $40. You can get a 5% NBA and my baseball for 18 total. So some pretty good value on $9 Monday right now at WagerTalk.com. We've got about 10 minutes left, guys, so we'll spend some time here on this game. Usual suspects, game 6, so we don't need to dig into this one as much as Miami and Milwaukee. That's why I spent more time on the first one. Westbrook is back, Rob, and as we had definitely talked about on the show on Friday, we all kind of mentioned it in different degrees. This might not be a good thing for Oklahoma City. After watching game 5, Rob, what are your takes here going into game 6, Westbrook and all included?
Well, the first thing we'll do is we'll prop up Tony's sources, because Lou against Dort got run-through picks. James Harden had 31 because he was getting, Oklahoma City didn't want to switch, but they had no choice in a couple of instances but to switch because they were beating Dort up physically on the defensive end. So A+ to Tony's sources inside the bubble for letting us know that before it happened.
I love them. Yes, thank you.
And then, of course, we already talked about Oklahoma City can't let Dort be the leading field goal attempt guy on the team tonight. They're going to have to go somewhere else. Gilgeous-Alexander and Gallinari were focal points of the LA Clipper of the Houston Rocket defense in that game. And boy, both guys had bad games. I mean, Dort had 16 field goal attempts, and combined, Gilgeous-Alexander and Gallinari had 13. It shouldn't be that way. So I don't know that it'll be that way tonight. That being said, Eric Gordon, guys, I thought was a wild card the other day. And sure enough, with Russell Westbrook back, what happens? Eric Gordon's shooting touch comes back. 9 of 17 from the field, 52%. Not as great from 3, but he made a lot of shots, scored 20 points. I just don't think that Oklahoma City, while they can cover the number, I just don't think they can win the game. I think they're finished here. There's not enough of offensive resources on this team. And the 3 guards have to play at the top of this. They have to hit their ceiling as far as offensive production is concerned for them to beat Houston. They didn't do it last game. If they don't do it this game, they won't win either. And even if they do, I'm not sure that they win. Westbrook goes for 23 and change minutes, I think, in the previous game. Only scored 7 points, but he was plus 21 on the floor. To me, Houston's got too many weapons once again. I mean, Bob Covington goes 6 of 11 from 3. You can take your choice. Do you want it to be McLemore? Do you want it to be House? I know Austin Rivers thinks he can score 40 on any night, but I'll give you him. But any of these guys are capable. So for me, I think Oklahoma City plays better offense. I would think that this game finds its way closer to that total than the previous one did. I mean, if they put up 80 again, I'd be amazed. So for me, I'd probably be looking at maybe the total here, up and over the number.
Yeah, Tony, right now the line is 5.5. It just keeps creeping higher every game, basically. We saw, I think 4.5, 5 for the reset game this past weekend. And it's even higher now that technically the second best player is back in the lineup. What are your thoughts here, the Thunder?
If you tell me, Rob said it, if you tell me that Dort and his partner in crime are going to take that many shots, then I'll give you 10 right now beyond Houston. It's done. It's a done deal. You would think to your fantasy related, I would be playing Dort under in his props. But I'm sure I would think that because I think Dort and Harden are related, or they're connected. And if Houston has a lead, and Harden's not in the game, then Donahue better have Dort out of the game, because this kid is going to he can't take 16 shots. And they're not going to win if he takes 16 shots. They're just not going to. And if you don't think that Schroeder, listen, if there's one player on this OKC team that Houston's going to struggle with, it's Dennis. And if you don't think that some of that was by design, where we're gonna get in his pocket, we're gonna pick him hard, we're gonna scratch his nuts while we're picking him, we're gonna bother the hell out of him, and lo and behold. Do you think that was an equal trade there, that those two guys got ejected? It was not an equal trade. And when that happened, lights out, guys. I expect to see the same thing tonight. Oklahoma City is going to have to get huge contributions from Tucker, from their flex players that to cover and win this game. That's just my opinion. I've said it this whole last 2 weeks. I've said to you that if Houston does the right things, that OKC is not capable of playing small ball with them. And here we are.
Yeah, money line game 6, Rockets over a 2-1 favorite. So the true odds are basically saying right in the middle there, 2-1, 67% chance that the Rockets finish off the series. So Rob Bino, you got a 67% chance that you win your plus money bet that you made after game 4. And Ski, interesting here, Ski. The game line is 5.5, as high as we've seen it. First half, though, is 2.5, which means the second half is 3. Normally, the favorite's a little bit heavier in the first half. So what this tells me, guys, is a couple things. Personally, that the Rockets have made some runs in the second half. I remember because I had OKC a few games back. I think it was game 2. Remember that Houston went on the 14-0 run with Harden on the bench, and took control of that game. But it also tells me, Ski, that I think the odds makers and the public think that maybe if this game gets out of hand, the Rockets just roll in the second half and Thunder pack it up and head out of the bubble. What are your thoughts, Ski, on game 6 here?
That's exactly how I'm looking at it. And I pretty much agree with what these guys said. Dort, he can't be shooting all the field goals again. If they do, OKC has no shot. The only way that, I know they quote unquote need him to guard James Harden, but if you can't score, it's not going to matter at all because Houston Rockets are going to find ways to put the ball in the basket regardless, whether it's Harden or anybody else. OKC, they need more of the 3-guard lineup. They need more Schroeder. And I'm not quite sure that we get it. If I like OKC, like you said, I'm taking the first half because if they're not close in that first half, things could get out of hand. And as far as the total, because I think we don't see so much Dort, I think hopefully Billy Donovan learned his lesson. I think we see more of that 3-guard lineup. I think we see less Dort initiating the offense, and that means OKC scores more points. Before the last game on the first half, they're averaging 118 points per game. The last game, they scored 93. I think they get back to the scoring ways. I would like the first half over. I probably will lean towards the full game over as well.
Yeah, Rob, and I'm seeing trying to find an adjusted price on this series. I haven't seen one offhand, but I'm sure there's one out there. But anyway, Rob, you going to hedge any, or are you going to let it ride that plus money prop you have that the Rockets will win in 6?
Hedge.
By the way, 12. Sorry to interrupt, but 1-12 Rockets, 1-12 favorite, 8-1 take back on the Thunder to win the next 2 games.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to hedge, Steve, to tell you the truth. I just think that with Westbrook back now, they're the supreme. They shot 43 of 100, 43% last game, and still found their way to 114. What's even amazing about them finding their way to 114 is that Houston only shot 14 free throws. So again, they can score. I think Ski said it best. At some point, Dort's defense against his offense, it becomes a minus for Oklahoma City. You can play as much defense as you want, but if you're going to be the one guy standing there shooting the basketball with nobody in your face, open gym, and you can't score, then your defense is worthless to me. They're going to score.
You got to play more like the Lakers, just on.
I just think that that's the way this is going to have to change for Billy Donovan. Is his team's going to have to put up offense. And again, we're kind of beating this horse to death throughout this series, but in my estimation, and I think I get agreement from Ski in this particular fundamental spot, Oklahoma City has to run. They have to score points. You don't beat Houston 92-90. You beat Houston by beating them to the 120 mark. And, when Oklahoma City's played their best offense, they've had their best outing. So to me, I think Billy Donovan's going to rev up the engine here. They've got nothing to lose. If they go home, they go home. But let's not go home shooting 7 of 46 from 3-point range, 15%. Going home that way is brutal.
Yeah, Tony, any play against play or props for you? And by the way, a mid-major Matt asked, why would you sometimes play just point rebound instead of the triple? Matt's doing really well, by the way, in baseball with the, as you know, Tony, with the hits, runs, and errors props. Yes. He's been hitting those. He's really starting to focus on those. My takeaway on Matt on this real quick would be if you think a guy maybe is going to get a lot of rebounds or a lot of points, then you don't have to worry about, assists. But it really depends on how you think the guy's going to play in that game itself. With that said, Tony, any play against guys for you in this game just in general?
for the most part, and I apologize for not being able to contribute these.
No, if you have nothing to say, no. I mean, I don't necessarily have much on the.
I don't. I wish I had more
deep
time
on these
to spend
games.
on those things, guys. I really do, but I have a hard enough time. It takes me, at least 20 trips to the.
Tony, how about this one? The Harden prop is 2-1 that he'll have a double.
Harden?
Harden, yeah, it's plus 170, yes, minus 230, no. So it's basically saying 2-1 odds that he has a double. It's a little over 3.5 to 1 that Butler has one. Interesting prop there.
Well, that's.
I mean, he's going to get the points. It's basically like, is he going to get double on any other stat?
Right.
That's all you got to figure
correct.
there.
That's correct. And that all depends on how well you think OKC is going to compete tonight. If OKC competes, then he'll get a double. If they don't, he's going to be sitting down laughing, even at the end of the bench, screaming, profanities at whoever he wants to.
Ski, what are your thoughts on that one? Yes, plus 170. I'm putting it up here. No, minus 230. Yeah, like Tony said, normally you think you'd have to have a really good game for your player to get a double. It's almost the opposite here. If the Rockets play really well, he's probably less likely to get the double, like Tony said.
Yeah, like we talked about, if the Rockets are up by margin, they run away with it, and Harden goes to sit down. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Harden really does not like Chris Paul. So that's the guy
who does. Who likes Chris Paul other than Chris Webber?
Right. And I want to back up. I've said it time and time again, but like Rob said, back Rob up. OKC plays better when they play faster. We saw how they play when they play slow, and it was abysmal. They cannot afford to do that again. And I saw one funny comment on Twitter. I kind of got reminded of it during the show, but it was about Dort shooting the ball. And it's like he's shooting the ball with the mindset of the guys at the roulette table who've seen 9 red in a row and like, it's got to be a black coming up. So I just thought that was funny. If I'm looking at players in this one, I mean, Westbrook, he was on a minutes limit. He played 24 minutes. He had 6 rebounds. He probably plays a little bit more tonight. He averages 7.9 rebounds per game. He got 6 in those 24 minutes.
I'm saying 6.5, Ski. Is that what you're saying? I'm saying 6.5 total rebounds for Westbrook.
I would still go over. He got 6 in 24 minutes. He averages close to 8. I would look at his rebound prop or look at Adams' rebounds over 10.5. He got 14 last game. I think that's their advantage in this game, so I think they both can grab some boards.
Yeah, Ski, by the way, you nailed that, Adams. When we mentioned it on the show here, you and I both were in agreement. Actually, the whole panel was in agreement on that. There's no one else to rebound when you're playing the chuck the three-pointer, Rockets. The only way you don't win that rebound prop there, again, is if the Rockets hit all the threes, in my opinion. So I think that's correlated. I think the win there, the loss is correlated to the Rockets winning. So you almost it'd be tough to lose both those bets. Rob, here in the last minute or so, any player props, any play-on-play against guys in general, just big picture stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would stick to my guns with Eric Gordon, although I will say this. I think Russell Westbrook, the numbers that he had are just going to elevate, and that could take something away from Eric Gordon here. But I just think that with Westbrook in the lineup, Eric Gordon becomes a huge offensive weapon. So if his number is still around 16 and a half, for him to get 17 points to me isn't that difficult.
Rob, it's actually 21.5 under minus 140. So I put on the screen 21 because that's what it comes out to. But just so everyone knows, it's 21.5 under, 6.5 rebounds, 2.5 turnovers minus 155 to the over. Anybody like that one? I'd take the over 2.5 turnovers if he plays enough. But yeah, we're looking at 21.5, 6.5. And by the way, 5.5 assists over minus 165. So the combination is 33.5 over minus 145. So basically 34 points, rebounds, and assists, we're saying. So any of those you like? Do you like it at 21.5?
No, that's a big difference from what they had last game, right? And that has to do with Westbrook being introduced back into the lineup. I might shift focus and say that whatever Danilo Gallinari's offensive number is, that guy's not scoring 1 point tonight. I would play Gallinari over because I think Oklahoma City's going to score a lot of points. And, 1. Yeah, I don't know what the total is on it, Steve, but
yeah, I'll give it to you, man. I got him here. Gallinari, 18.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 24.5 points, rebounds, assists. So pretty big number there. Gallinari,
I think he makes it to 20 points. I think he'll make it to 20 points here.
So, yeah, you're getting about 18.5 there. So, Rob, a little lean on the Gallinari over. I agree with Ski on that Adams rebounding prop. It cashed before, but it keeps working, I think. I don't see that ending here with the way the Rockets play. Hey, guys, great show today. The last minute we have or so, any in-show wagers for tonight? I know Tony's always open to suggestions.
I am. I'm always open to listen because my wife's wrong. I listen well.
What do you want today, Tony? I picked the last couple times, I think.
Do some props. So you guys want to do some props since there's only 2 games? I mean,
I'll tell you what. Yeah, you pick one prop. Here's my prop that Ski's wrong. He's wrong.
Tony's playing the red tactic. Ski.
He's wrong twice or more.
I think Ski's on if you count the triple wins, he said he's on like a 7 or 8 game win streak. So Tony's he can't win 9 in a row. He can't do it.
Green, give me green. I don't want red. I don't want
zero on you.
I want to be paid, bitch. Give me green.
Betting double zero on you. So Ski, you like the Adams prop. Tony, how about you take under 10.5 rebounds?
Okay.
I'll get in on that as well.
And we'll get that kneecap Adams hurting a little bit. It's the last game anyway. You have the whole winter's rest. Well, part of the winter's rest.
Ski, I'll give you the kiss of death here. I'll double back. I'll piggyback on that one, which means we're probably in trouble now. But it seems too good to be true to me too. So Ski and I both have over 10.5 rebounds. Adams against Tony. Rob, throw something at Tony. You like Gallinari. Rob likes Gallinari over 18.5 points.
Oh, I'll take whatever.
I'll take the under.
I'm on the other side, man. I'm fading it.
So Tony is rooting for a low scoring. Although Tony, you're in trouble here because you can't have fewer rebounds if they're making the baskets. That'll lead to more points from Gallinari. I don't know. I'm all confused.
What's the official score when OKC forfeits before the game even starts? Is it 7-0, something like that? Do I cover on that?
So we had that concede bet going again, like we had with the Sixers.
Well, I was really concerned when Milwaukee came out and said we're not playing. I said, well, I can't cover 14 points if you give me a forfeit score. You guys, what kind of shit is this? Well,
I want some credit though for Wednesday. I did pass on Wednesday, as I said, when all the games got canceled. Yeah. I should have been on that 100-to-1 draw bet like they have in soccer, the 3-way line. I couldn't find that anywhere. I could have parlayed all 3 games on the 100-to-1 draw, and it'd be like this. You would have had no host. See, I would have been gone. I'd be on my private island.
Did you do that on purpose? Because I liked it.
I think you did.
Cody, that's a warning to you for the next show. I've got that power, so you got to be on your best behavior on Tuesday.
Better videos than this one.
I've been kicked off better YouTube shows than this one, guys. Hey, we'll leave it at that. $9 Monday, sportsmemo.com, wagertalk.com, Rob Bino, Tony Finn, Ski Profit, myself, Steve Merrill, wagertalk.com, $9 Monday. Get each and every best bet tonight. 5% for me, normally $40, $9. Tony Finn, a 3-pack. What the hell is a 3-pack normally, Tony? It's at least 40, right? 40 or I don't even know what a 3-pack.
It depends on how many 5%ers you have in that damn thing, you know.
Yeah, it can get it because it's anywhere from 20. I mean, Ski and Rob and Ryan plays and Tony, they're anywhere from $25 to $40 each. Everything is $9, and then Tony goes above and beyond as he always does, and he's made a 3-pack for $9 because he is Santa Claus here on August 31st. Hey guys, we'll be back next month. I won't have to talk to you guys until next month, and that'll be tomorrow, Tuesday, September 1st, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, right here on Wager Talk TV for NBA Tip-Off. Good luck.